Shut up and sit down.
Howdy, Inside Mutations. Welcome to Broken Table Commentary, a three-man creative discussion all about the greatest of fake sports, professional wrestling. Every week, we each bring a different topic to the table. The topics can be ridiculous or serious, opinion or factual, creative or not, whatever we feel like, and as always, the topics for this week are in the description. On commentary, we have our Mark, the debonair diabetic dad, Lenton.
I'm back!
Our historian, the Scottish boy wonder, Michael.
Hello, more on that story later, but for now, here's wrestling.
And our sleepy critic boy, me, Jessel. You can follow us on SoundCloud, YouTube, and Facebook as Broken Table Commentary, directly at BrokenTableCommentary.com, or now on Twitter at BrokenTableCom. I know, it's too many letters to get commentary. Broken Table Com, C-O-M. New episodes are broadcast every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is episode number 21, Catering Table.
Blackjack.
Oh, damn it! Blackjack Table would have been so much better! Damn it! I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to change it. Damn it!
It's alright.
This week in wrestling, not a lot going on in other promotions. Not a lot going on in the WWE. Some injuries, some really bad wrestling, some really good wrestling, and some decent promos. I see Lenny's face because Skype lets you do that, and he didn't seem to think there was some good wrestling. I thought the Last Man Standing had some really good spots, and it looked like the crowning achievement, or the almost penultimate crowning achievement of Braun Strowman. Yeah?
Oh yeah, well, you said really good wrestling.
Sure,
So-
okay, fair. It was good for TV, not a pay-per-view quality Last Man Standing by any stretch of the means. But it was good.
Yeah, it was very, move to one spot outside the ring and do a thing, move to this next spot outside the ring and do a thing, move to this other spot outside the ring and do a thing, which is how Last Man Standing matches usually go. So it followed that formula. So
Yeah.
it was good. It was a good one, yeah.
But there were spots I hadn't seen before. Tossing that fucking chair right at his head. That was really good.
That was a cool one, yeah.
There are a couple of injuries on the docket too. One as expected, Bayley is indeed injured and removed from her SummerSlam match. But unfortunately, Scott Dawson is also injured of the Revival. I've heard lots of people talking about this might actually end the Revival's anywhere near good faith in the WWE.
Now, the last time they got injured, was it Scott that got injured, or was it Wilder?
No, it was the other one. It was
Okay.
Wilder.
Now, I hope since they let them try again after the other guy got hurt, they let them try again now that it's the other one. I mean, it would be different if it was the same guy getting hurt, but I would hope that since I would hope one each gets to have a bad injury.
I hope so too.
I've got two things from Raw and two things from SmackDown.
That's four things.
Cool. Yeah. Well, for me, that's unusual, but... first of all, I feel really bad for Jason Jordan. I mean, he got set up in Toronto against a squash opponent who they set up as being from Quebec, and he got "Let's Go Jobber" chants because they'd rather chant for the no name over Kurt Angle's son.
Yeah, I don't know what went wrong. I don't quite understand what went wrong. I guess what went wrong is that he's being treated as a babyface.
Yeah. I mean, I think they can save it with a sort of nepotism angle, but they are not giving him much favours at the moment. Especially if they're expecting him to get over having done sod all for most of the year inside, 3 weeks?
Honestly, I think the way to fix him is to have him challenge The Miz for the IC title, and then Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas show up and beat the shit out of him. And Kurt Angle says, "I've never raised you. I don't care about you. It's a complete coincidence that you're here and you're trying to curry favor. These are the sons I chose. These are my I think that could do it. That could get him some babyface.
Yeah, and of course the other thing from Raw was that we now have Dean Ambrose's justification for what I assume is going to be his heel turn at SmackDown. Oh, SummerSlam. Because we had the bit where after weeks, Ambrose finally put his hand out to Rollins, and this time Rollins couldn't accept it. So, and it's going to have a payoff.
With the revival problems, do you think they're going to actually go ahead and pull the trigger now? Because with revival problems, I think they might keep them together longer than they were planning. Because I don't think they were going to do anything originally, but now with revival out, they need another tag team.
Well, I think that they'll view Ambrose and Rollins' issues as kind of main event rather than tag team related, so it won't come into their thought process.
That makes sense.
The two things from SmackDown, the lesser but more entertaining one was the latest Fashion Files, where they discovered who destroyed Tully, and they got Fandango back. Not only did it have yet more moments where the Ascension were actually really funny. I mean, I don't know who's writing these things, but they should have been writing the Ascension for years, because, my God, they have found their spot. But the whole thing, it was, on a really weak episode of SmackDown, it was actually entertaining and funny, and
absolutely,
it made everyone in the segment look interesting.
Yeah, it reminds me of comedy APA. The Ascension does. They could just a little bit of a gimmick change, like Acolytes went to APA, and comedy Ascension could really work.
Yeah, I could see that. And the other thing from SmackDown is that at the very start of SmackDown, Cena came out to do one of his promos, but for once he actually sold a loss. Usually when he loses, he does his whole "you can't see me, I'm the better man, just I lost, but I'll win again," and takes the heat back. But this time he came out and he said, I thought I was going to SummerSlam and then I lost clean. No shenanigans. This doesn't happen to me a lot. And he really put over Nakamura as someone who was better than Cena. And the crowd I'd say the crowd were at least 80% pro Cena. I think he's starting to slowly edge into the sort of respected elder spot with the fans now.
It's a good place to be for him.
Yeah, but it really stood out because usually he's even when AJ beat him last summer, it was like, yeah, you beat me, but I'm still Cena. Whereas this time he was actually being humble, so it stood out.
Yeah, for Cena to go to Canada and be mostly cheered is crazy if you think about the history of John Cena in Canada. So that was definitely cool.
Let's go ahead and move on to our first topic, which is Lenny's. So, that's nice.
Alright. My topic is to rebook a SummerSlam. So this means you can take a SummerSlam from the past and change it as little or as much as you'd prefer in a manner that would be realistic at the time that the SummerSlam was taking place. So you can't take a wrestler that was dead or take a title that didn't exist or, do something that is just ridiculous and impossible at the time. So it's pretty straightforward.
I was just wanted to say this was a very fun challenge. This is the kind of thing that I had always expected us to do, and it just taken us a long time to do this kind of thing. But this is the kind of thing that Michael and I used to do just for fun, and I know that you do it just for fun too, since you told us when you were putting this together.
I still do it just for fun.
Yeah, so this is the kind of thing that all three of us really enjoy. But it's the first time we've actually done this, and I really enjoyed it. I hope that this goes over well, and we'll keep doing it because this is fun.
All right, Michael, you want to go first? I know you got a big boy.
Right, I'll try and do this as simply as possible. I was looking over 90s ones, and the one I decided to go for was actually the first SummerSlam I ever saw, which was SummerSlam 1999, which suffers from having a lot of Russo booking in it. So I have tried to kind of bring the storylines they had dropped back in so that it has kind of a catharsis to it. Because it's in the height of 1999, though, I realised that we weren't going to have 30-minute matches everywhere because the audience at that time were kind of conditioned to their sort of 6-7 minute undercard and then sort of longer main events. So that has allowed me to fit 11 matches on the card. So I will quickly go through.
And I just want to mention that the card originally had 9 matches, so we're going from 9 to 11. Yeah.
One of them was a tag turmoil, so I got rid of that, and that frees up quite a bit of space.
Okay.
That does sound like it.
Yeah. And also, I've not tried to break the fabric of time and bring Owen back. He's still dead, sadly, and there's no titles that weren't there at the time. Another thing I have changed is some people who debuted within the month after SummerSlam, I've just brought forward their debuts.
Okay.
So we open with a 4 corners tag match to determine number 1 contenders for the tag titles, which has Velvetus and the Godfather, who were tagging on-off. The Holly Cousins, Crash Holly had just debuted 3 weeks earlier. Kai and Tai, who were about but mostly jobbing, and Droz and Prince Albert, who were in that tag turmoil. It's just a quick opener, and the Hollies win by accident and keep fighting.
Interesting.
Then we come to an impromptu moment, because instead of fighting for the IC title, Jeff Jarrett's off the card. So he comes to the ring and starts complaining about this, and he gives an open challenge to anyone to fight him. Out comes the returning Bulldog, because he returned to SmackDown a week later, and he wins a quick squash over the soon-to-be leaving Jarrett. Then we come to the first match that actually matters, which is the Hardys v Edge and Christian. They wrestled at SummerSlam in that tag turmoil, so what I'm doing is I'm getting rid of all the other teams and giving them 10 minutes. Gangrel's still attached to the Hardys due to the Brood breakup, and Michael Hayes is presumably trying to get himself attached to the Edge and Christian team for revenge, but no one wants him. The Teddy Invitational actually started in late September, so I'm just going to start it a bit early, as the teams are essentially fighting each other already, and Edge and Christian win this one. Women's match, I've got Ivory defending against the only 2 decent women on the roster, which is Luna and Jacqueline. Ivory had issues with Jackie in April, which got completely forgotten about, so I'm keeping them relevant here and having a payoff, which we never got. Luna is just sort of the insane one in the middle trying to kill everyone, and Ivory retains. Hardcore title match, Al Snow v Blackman. Blackman had been involved with Vince, so him being the one to try and shut down Snow instead of Boss Man isn't much of a stretch. That gets him back on the show. Bigger match, DX, which is X-Pac and the New Age Outlaws, versus the Corporation, Bossman Test and Shane McMahon. Now, DX v the Corporation was one of the big storylines of 1999, even when it got consumed by half of DX turning heel, and the Corporation joining their bitter rivals, the Ministry, in a shocking Russo swerve. So, in this timeline, I am nixing the 1999 Billy Gunn heel turn and King of the Ring win, because they were pointless. The Outlaws and Xbox...
Now, is that the only reason you're nixing it?
Also, it's shit.
Okay.
But, and his opponent at SummerSlam has a much more important role than facing Billy Gunn in this timeline. But so the Outlaws and X-Pac are DX because Triple H and China turned heel, and now they've been fighting the entire corporation. Well, they get help now and again from Rock, who's mostly an island into himself, and Kane, who has the same storyline with Pac as he had in real life. So, X-Pac challenges Corporation to a tag match at SummerSlam with the losing faction disbanding, and everyone runs in the Mean Street Posse to get killed by Kane to try and save the day. Vince returns from hiatus, and eventually, right when X-Pac has to win against the odds, Triple H shows up to cost him the match, disbanding DX, who are dead for good. Well, in 1999 at least. Test got the win, and Shane's a bit pissed because his sister seems to like this wrestler. Meanwhile, X-Pac and Triple H need to adjust post-DX, and perhaps by ending that in big fashion here, they won't become the ghosts of Christmas past once the new millennium hits. Next match, Dan Severn v Ken Shamrock. I've extended Severn's contract here by a few months because they built this dream match for a year and a half and then forgot to do it on pay-per-view. So they might as well do it here, and Shamrock was leaving soon after. Number 4. The LOD sort of became a joke in 1999 and lasted too long and never retired, and then Hawk died. So what I'm doing here is giving them a big send-off. It's promoted beforehand as LOD's retirement match, and I hope that will stir some sentiment. And the Dudleys are the new heel tag team, so I've got them together. The LOD get some power stuff in early, but the Dudleys win. A quick but active match. Afterwards, LOD offer the handshakes, but the Dudleys sod off. So the Legion of Doom play to the crowd and ride off into the sunset for good. Which gives us only the top 3 matches. The first one is Jericho winning the IC belt off of D'Lo Brown. Jericho debuted in August, and I'm fast tracking him to the IC title here. Also, D'Lo Brown was super underrated, and I think the two might gel here. Jericho goes over, but hopefully D'Lo does enough to show up. Now the tag title match. This is the big change of sorts. You see, the Acolytes were pushed throughout 1999 as a new Destroyer team. They took on all comers. No one could take on the 2 men at once, even if they were Kane or Viscera. They lost. They got the belts off Kane and X-Pac in May, and they traded them with Hardys in a fine Raw upset. And in a fantastic car crash, no holds barred match at Fully Loaded, with the Hardys threw everything at the Acolytes, and the Acolytes still kill everyone in their sight. Now, next Sunday Night Heat after Fully Loaded, The Undertaker and Big Show, who had just joined forces due to their mutual hatred of everyone, they did what nobody had ever done before. They laid out the Acolytes. So, on the next Raw, right as the opening pyro was starting up, the Acolytes appeared in the middle of the pyro show and stormed down to the ring to demand Taker and Show showed up, which, impressed the hell out of Kid Me. And it's just still in your face opening to Raw. And now we did fuck all with this. Like, they genuinely nearly never mentioned it ever again. So, to hell with that. This is the storyline which had been set up for 10 months, essentially. With the team that Undertaker had created for himself becoming more than mere Acolytes. And even if we're getting rid of a fine X-Pac Kane tag title match here, I'd rather stick with the narrative they created. Acolytes and Taker and Show go toe-to-toe at SummerSlam, and despite being the baddest team in the WWE, Taker and Show are bigger and win.
Who are the champs at that time?
The Acolytes were the champs at the start of August, but they hot-shotted them to Kane and X-Pac, so...
Gotcha. So that got canned. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So I'm canning the Kane and X-Pac run so we can actually have what they started.
Got it.
Which just gives us the main event, and all I've done to the SummerSlam main event from '99, which was Mankind, Triple H, and Austin, is I'm adding Rock to it. Because you see, we're not only removing The Rock from a crap Billy Gunn match, we're adding him to the main event, and we're allowing him to do much of the match, the legwork in the match, to get around the fact that Foley's hurt, Austin's injured, and Austin doesn't want to job to Triple H. As The Rock is cool with jobbing to anyone in the world. If we paid him, he'd probably lose 1, 2, 3 clean in the middle of the ring to me. We get a workaround where Austin's taking out the match and Rock is screwed over by Triple H and Vince, so that Triple H gets the belt. Thus, The Rock chases Triple H, and when Austin comes back from the next surgery, he has more impetus to challenge Rock for their WrestleMania 17 clash. Bang! Did it in 7 minutes.
But you got rid of the one-day Mankind title.
I know, but I saw the narrative interest in having the long chase.
Mick Foley needs all the titles he can get.
Oh.
I mean, you did a lot more changes than I did.
So when you were looking at this pay-per-view, Michael, what was the one thing that you thought needed the biggest change? Out of everything on it, originally. What did you hate the most?
Oh, well, I still hate the fact they wasted The Rock on the show when he was literally becoming the top person in the company. But also, genuinely, that dropped tag title feud really annoys me. I mean, I suppose I could have added Kane and X-Pac into it for a triple threat, but I wanted to do something to blow off the corporation stuff because that had been happening for so long too, and it just kind of fizzled out. Essentially, it was which fizzled out Russo storylines did I most want them to actually solve the most?
I really like the Jericho getting the IC title here too, because I've been rereading that book, the book where he talks about his time in the WWF, and I just read the part where he's talking about when he gets into the WWF and he misses out on this SummerSlam, and then he ends up having to do the whole title thing with China and how much he hates it and everything.
Yeah.
And losing clean to D'Lo on house shows and stuff, and how frustrated he was during all this, and no one was telling him why. So I definitely feel for Jericho, and this would make me feel a lot better if this would have happened for him. Alright, I guess I'll go next. I have decided to change SummerSlam 2005. This is headlined by the Dream Match Legend versus Icon, Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan. And it is a great lesson in that just because something is a dream match doesn't mean that dreams should come true. So we're going to definitely get rid of that. But this pay-per-view has a couple of good things, but it doesn't quite live up to the hype of Summerslam is supposed to be. I mean, I guess they look at it as the second biggest pay-per-view of the year, really, since besides the Royal Rumble match, Royal Rumbles are typically kind of mediocre. So we start off the show with a Chris Masters Master Lock Challenge. We have Chris Masters on Raw at the time. And Eugene is on Raw as well, and a couple of months before this, he has won the Olympic gold medals from Kurt Angle in a Kurt Angle Olympic gold medal type challenge where all you have to do is survive. It was either 2 or 3 minutes with Kurt Angle and you get the medals. So Eugene has done that and he won the medals. We'll have Angle already get those back so he doesn't have to mess around with Eugene. But Eugene is feeling very cocky, so he thinks, well, I guess he doesn't feel cocky because he's special needs, but he feels that he can win the Chris Masters Master Lock Challenge. So the show starts with the Master Lock Challenge, and Eugene coming and getting the crowd pumped up, or trying to, because they thought Eugene would be over with this crowd, but he wasn't. The crowd hated Eugene at this venue. So Eugene comes out and does his introduction shtick thing. He's got Christy Hemme as his little cheerleader, and then Chris Masters comes out and they do the Master Lock Challenge, and Eugene gets just destroyed, just demolished. Chris Masters kills him, basically. So that's how we start the show, is Eugene getting destroyed by Chris Masters. Next up, we're going to have a U.S. title handicap match between The Undertaker and Orlando Jordan with JBL. So Taker and JBL would have been involved in some multi-man number one contenders match earlier on, and Orlando Jordan would have screwed Taker out of it, so Taker takes it upon himself to take out Orlando Jordan. JBL wants to try and protect Orlando, so he's giving Orlando all the advice you need to beat Taker, because, I've beaten Taker at SummerSlam, trust me. So enough of that goes on that Taker just says, alright, I'm going to fight both you guys. So it's Undertaker versus Jordan and JBL. Undertaker gets the win, and he is now the United States title. The United States champion. He does not become the belt. He is the champion. We get Matt Hardy versus Edge and Lita. This is an attempt for Matt Hardy to get his hands on Lita, which was never the goal for Matt Hardy during this whole real-life wrestling feud. If people don't know what happened, in real life, Matt Hardy and Lita were together, and Lita started cheating on Matt Hardy with Edge. And then Matt Hardy finds out about it by going through her phone and seeing all these text messages. And then they brought it into the wrestling world. And there's a storyline that they built out of it with Edge and Lita together and Matt Hardy wanting to beat the crap out of them. It was fun. It was a fun storyline. I don't usually like the ones where they make real life into a wrestling storyline. It's not very creative, but this one was a fun one. So I think they should have upped it and made it a little bit more intense by having Matt Hardy versus Edge and Lita, and Matt Hardy is trying to beat up Lita. I mean, that's fine. Lita's a bitch. So during the match, he's trying to get Lita to get tagged in, but Edge won't tag her in. And then Edge takes out Matt Hardy, and he's like, okay, I'm going to tag in Lita so she can beat him up. So he tags in Lita. Lita comes in ready to beat up Matt, but then Matt gets up and he gets his hands on Lita, and Edge is able to grab her, and they just run in the backstage and they get counted out. They don't even care, which then leads logically into Edge getting put in a steel cage with Matt Hardy at the next pay-per-view because he lost by a count out because they ran away. So that is what I would do with them. Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero for the custody of Dominique is the one match that I am not going to change. Because I loved it. I loved that storyline. I loved the ladder match. I loved little Dominique running in and grabbing the ladder to shake it and try to get Uncle Eddie to fall off. The only thing I will change is I will have the match in there with Dominique coming and distracting Eddie Guerrero instead of it going another 15 minutes, because after that really powerful moment happens where Eddie's biological son is keeping him from getting rights to be his dad, then there's a whole bunch of other stuff, and Vicky Guerrero comes out and gets involved. Rey Mysterio eventually wins. But in my version, Dominique will come in and stop Eddie from winning, and then Rey Mysterio wins, and we'll just cut about 10 minutes off the match. I have Randy Orton deciding that he wants to take out the current version of the Legion of Doom that we have had at SmackDown at the time. It was Animal and Heidenreich, but they are still half of a Legends and taking the Legends team, so he wants to be the Legend Killer for that. So it doesn't take long, since Christian is on SmackDown, for him to want to associate himself with a successful tag team partner, because that's what Christian is known for. Christian loves having a tag team partner who's going to make him successful. So Christian and Randy Orton are a tag team, and they win the belts from the Legion of Doom. So now you've got The Undertaker having the United States belt, and Christian and Randy Orton having the tag team belts, which keeps them separated from each other for a while before you get into the whole Undertaker-Randy Orton thing that takes up way too much time in that year of wrestling. For the World Heavyweight title, I have a babyface versus babyface match, because SummerSlam tends to do that, as I've mentioned before. I have Chris Benoit versus Batista. I would have had Benoit win a number one contenders match, because that's how JBL got his number one contenders match, and then he ended up fighting Batista. But I would have had Benoit win it, and he could have cut promos about, I can't believe how this year has gone. A year ago, I was going to SummerSlam as the World Heavyweight Champion, then I lost the belt, and everything's gone downhill since then, but now I'm getting this other chance. But it's a match of respect between Batista and Benoit, but Batista's like, yeah, I respect you, but your story's not going to stop it. I'm the animal. So Batista versus Benoit, Batista wins. So that's what I would do for Benoit versus Batista. For Hulk Hogan, basically how they created the Hulk Hogan Shawn Michaels feud is Hulk Hogan was a guest on Carlito's Cabana, and Carlito and Kurt Angle were just being mean to Hulk Hogan about Brooke Hogan, and then Shawn Michaels comes out and steps up and defends him, and then it turns into the whole Shawn Michaels is a heel for one pay-per-view fiasco nonsense. So I would have had Chris Jericho and Carlito be the ones who are cutting down Hulk Hogan and Brooke Hogan, and I would have turned this into a loser leaves WWE Chris Jericho versus Hulk Hogan match. I wasn't a huge fan of what Jericho was doing at the time. When I picked Jericho's worst match in a episode a while back, I picked the one that he has with John Cena that kicks him out, that happens just about a month later. So I would go ahead and get Chris Jericho out at this pay-per-view by having him lose to Hulk Hogan. But after Hulk Hogan beats Chris Jericho and gets him kicked out of the WWE, I would have Chris Masters come out and just destroy Hulk Hogan, because him and Carlito have been friends, and Carlito's at ringside, so Chris Masters just demolishes Hulk Hogan. So then you get Hulk Hogan written off TV as well. So even though Hulk Hogan doesn't lose, Chris Masters just destroys him, and so now Hulk Hogan's gone. It gives Shawn Michaels a reason, because Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan are still friends in this scenario. It gives Shawn Michaels a reason to feud with Chris Masters in the next pay-per-view, rather than just randomly doing it, which is what they did initially. And then for the main event, I have John Cena versus Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels. At the time, Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels' record against each other is 1-1-1 because of WrestleMania, and then Vengeance, and then they have an Iron Man match, which goes to a draw. So they still need another match, Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels. John Cena needs a good feud, and his stuff with Kurt Angle later in the year is really good. So I would have inserted him into this naturally. I mean, we've seen this happen a million times. And I would have made this a triple threat match that main events the show. And I would have had Kurt Angle win it. So Kurt Angle gets his win over Shawn Michaels, and he gets the belt off of John Cena. And then you can continue having John Cena feud with Kurt Angle for the rest of that year. So that's what I would have done with SummerSlam 2005.
Giving Chris Masters the master push, shall we say?
Yes, sir. He deserves it.
I was always a Chris Masters fan. I go back and forth on your killing the Hogan Michaels. Hindsight bias tells us that yeah, we should have killed it. But if the planned intended match had happened as intended before Hogan swung his dick around and had the match changed, and it was going to be a three-peat. So you have them once, and then Michael stays heel, and then you have it again, and then you have it again for your big, like, that would have been really good. But since we have hindsight bias, that never happened. And Hogan said, "Nah, I'm not putting Michaels over." Yeah, get rid of it. As much as I like that match because of all the shenanigans and all the history, it makes sense to get rid of it now that we know it never went anywhere. I had to talk my way through the whole thought process. But yeah, I'm sad to lose the Cena Jericho match. I think that's the only one that makes me sad, because I thought that was a very good match, and Jericho really helped legitimize Cena there. But other than that,
Okay, well, Jessel, I know which one you picked. What would you do with it?
I mentioned to them that I'm going to rebook 94. Which is interesting. I didn't think I'd have the oldest pay-per-view, but I did. I also wrote it a little differently, so hopefully it's not irritating how it wrote. But yeah, I want to rebook SummerSlam 1994. I talked about the Owens-Brett Steel Cage match as being a big bummer for me, but there's a worse title match kind of on this pay-per-view, and that's the one that made me angry enough that I needed to rebook this one. Not the Steel Cage match, but the non-title title match. Because you see, Click Shenanigans had the tag titles changed the night before SummerSlam 1994, so that the tag match that was for the tag titles were no longer for the tag titles, except they had the same match. They had the match, but there's no stakes. There was nothing going on. It makes me so mad, because the titles being put on Diesel and Shawn Michaels meant nothing. It made no sense. It was worthless. So that made me mad enough that I needed to rebook this pay-per-view.
Yeah, when you told me you were doing
mad.
When you told me you were doing this year, I watched the whole pay-per-view, and I finished it yesterday. And when I got to that, and they were just like nonchalantly were like, "Oh yeah, and they won the tag team titles yesterday at a show," and I was like, What are they talking about? I had what in the world? Why did that happen? Yeah, it was so dumb.
Yeah, it happened because Shawn Michaels and Diesel were going to split, and they said, "Oh, we need stakes, so go ahead and give us the tag titles to make this thing have stakes." Nonsense. Terrible. So, first match, don't take the titles off the Head Shrinkers the day before SummerSlam. Head Shrinkers stay as the tag champs going into this match, so it's still IRS and Bam Bam versus the Head Shrinkers, except this time it's actually for the tag titles. The crowd is super into this pairing, and that is after being incredibly uninterested to start the pay-per-view. Like, the crowd was real lackadaisical, but as the match gets going, holy heck, the crowd gets super into it. It's a damn good match. Head Shrinkers are an incredible team. They don't get enough credit. Hell, all of the men in this match don't get enough credit for being so good. It normally ends with a DQ finish, so no DQ finish. DiBiase gets what he paid for. His team wins the tag titles tonight. Then you have the Samoan beatdown that Afa gets involved, so Afa and Fatu and Sika and Lou Albano all get in and beat the hell out of IRS and Bam Bam. But it doesn't matter. Ted walks out head high, laughing his evil laugh. His team getting what he wanted. Because the story of this pay-per-view is making the $1 million corporation look good. That's what they wanted this pay-per-view to be, and then they forgot, and then they had the Click Shenanigans to deal with, so let's fix all that. Second match is Alundra Blaze versus Bull Nakano. No changes needed. It's a good match.
Yep.
I talked a lot about how great Alundra Blaze was when we were doing the Hall of Fame a couple episodes ago. But great match. So, third match. Let's make Diesel and Michaels not be the tag champs, please. Okay. This is Razor Ramon versus Diesel for the IC title. It is a decent match. Razor Ramon is over as all hell. I am super sad that he never got the chance to actually be a top main eventer for the WWF, because, wow, he is over. The match is boring. It has a lot of interferences, and there's a really bad logic gaffe where Earl Hebner sees the turnbuckle pad being taken off. He jumps onto the turnbuckles to stop anyone from using the damn exposed turnbuckle. But then the match just continues, and no one deals with the turnbuckle, and no one smashes into it, and it doesn't factor into the finish of the match. I mean, could he not have just put the pad back on to the match? I don't understand. The story here is fine. You know, it's all setting up the big Diesel face turn. So Michaels gets a bit much. Earl Hebner's a bit much, but it works, so we don't need to change any of that. It was really funny to watch this weird matchup that was a WCW match, but with the cheesy, terrible Vincent King commentary. It was interesting. Beyond the terrible turnbuckle sequence and the tag titles on Michaels and Diesel, let the match stay. Next up, Tatanka versus Lex Luger. Once again, really, really weird to see a did Lex sell out to heel faction story here before he went to WCW to do the exact same thing. Did Lex sell out to the $1 Million Corporation? Oh, who knows? It's a weird story. Luger does the thing he always does at SummerSlam, and that's no sell the audience. So he continues to act like a beloved babyface, which is very, very, very funny. Essentially, there's a double turn in the match because the crowd does think Luger turned heel, and then what actually happens is Tatanka turned heel and joined the $1 Million Corporation. So what I'd get done is instead have Luger come out with a open mic live promo to get himself babyface reactions here, so that the heel stuff could be on DiBiase, not on Lex or on Tatanka, so it can be more interesting, more of that face thing that Lenny talked about being a thing that happened a lot of SummerSlams. Have Lex actually come and defend himself instead of just pretending that it's not true. That'd be really nice. Then when Tatanka gets the roll up or gets whatever, DiBiase has a second win for his corporation that night, and that's really good. It's a great angle with a surprisingly good match behind it. I'm going to cut 7 minutes from the cage match that's too long and put it here because this match is really good and I'd love to see it get more. Tatanka super impressed me. The storyline's great. Luger can have great long matches. It tells great stories. Makes sense to me. Fifth match. Cut Jeff Jarrett versus Mabel entirely. That match is stupid. The only reason they did it, they promoted for 1 week Country versus Rap as a feud. Dumb. Get that out of here. New fifth match, Jeff Jarrett versus 123 Kid number 2. They had a King of the Ring match that was really, really good. 123 Kid just had a huge match with Bret Hart on Raw, so he's on the upswing, and Jarrett is also on the upswing. So give them a rematch here. Let Jarrett get a cheap heel roll up win. That'd be really, really good. That'd be a cool way to do it. And then from that point forward, no other changes. The rest of the pay-per-view is fine for me. I just needed to take away those minutes from the ridiculously too long cage match.
Will you run down what the rest of the pay-per-view is for the people who don't know? That you don't change?
Give me a second.
Okay.
Because I don't have it written down. Because I didn't think that that's how we'd do it. I don't know why. It makes the most sense to do it this way. 1994. Singing the song. Next was Bret Hart versus Owen Hart in this cage match. Like I said, cut 7 minutes from it. I don't like the match, but it's not like the match did anything wrong, so there's no reason to rebook it. And then Undertaker versus Undertaker. The Corporation's Undertaker versus Paul Bearer's Undertaker. With the real Undertaker defeating the Corporation Undertaker. So DiBiase has a huge loss at the end. His fake Undertaker didn't work. And that match is fine. It's not really interesting, but it's a big spectacle. So, it's fine.
Michael, how do you feel that he only cut 7 minutes off of the Bret Hart cage match?
I'd probably cut 7 minutes off it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm more happy that he's actually giving Bam Bam Bigelow a title in WWE.
Yeah, of course, he deserved it.
Because he never had any.
He absolutely should have. It would have made his babyface turn later in the year better. It would have made him versus Lawrence Taylor better. It absolutely should have happened. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you've kept it. Well, from memory, it's essentially a 2-match show between. Well, apart from the good stuff in the opening match, you've got the IC title match, and then you've got Owen Brett, and I should point out there's really good Tatanka Lex Luger angle. Sorry, is my memory going? sign of old age, but the rest is kind of just there. So
Yep, that the Lex Luger Tatanka stuff was awesome. Deserves the extra minutes.
you know there are the fans who were of the right, the kind of kid age there, who Tatanka's heel turn, it's still kind of, that was their traumatizing wrestling moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, him shoving the money into Lex Luger's mouth was shocking. That was so cool. It was so good.
Yeah.
So just give that match a little more time and let Luger talk for himself, and then we're good to go. So yeah, I took as you can hear, listening audience, I took a different approach here because I really just wanted to fix what was broken. And I didn't want to change too much else. Even the things I clearly don't like, I didn't want to change too much if they worked. So next time I'll rebook everything. I'll be like Michael and Lenny. Just nothing stays the same. Every match changed.
Well, you sort of kept it mostly, but changed a few things. Lenny kept some stuff he liked, and I just went control freak, rips this all up.
Let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. This topic is mine, and it's going to be just more of a little discussion panel about tattoos in the WWE. Well, tattoos in wrestling. I wanted to talk about the best and worst tattoos, because tattoos are a big piece of marketing, a big piece of your character at a certain point. And it's very interesting. The WWE has very strict rules on who can have tattoos, when and where, up to a certain point. Once you have a certain number of tattoos, they don't care anymore, which is really interesting. It's just tattoos are such an interesting part of the WWE, and there's so many really good ones and so many really terrible ones. I just thought it'd be interesting to have us talk about it. I mean, I'll go ahead and start with absolutely the worst tattoo of all time. The penis sword on Brock Lesnar's chest. That is just the most unfortunate tattoo. It is. He has a actually pretty cool sword, a pretty cool looking dagger sword type thing, which has a brass knuckles grip and stuff. And then the tattoo work just gets bad, or his musculature gets weird, and the head of the sword just turns into the head of a penis. And it's really, really ugly, and it's really, really stupid. And on top of that, Lesnar has a really good-looking tattoo. He has his old Lesnar logo, the vertebrae monster, on his back. It looks really cool. He has a penis sword.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that's what he was going for. But it does stand out a mile, though, doesn't it?
It does. I have a lot of these written down, so we'll just throw them out. Let's just talk about tattoos. Good, bad, all of it.
Well, the one that I didn't want to bring up, well, I should bring up because it is the worst tattoo in wrestling, but we shouldn't discuss it for the obvious reason, is the Harris brothers. For anyone listening and they don't know why we don't want to bring it up, Google it. You'll find lots of information from people who don't want sued by TNA. But, on a happier note, the worst whatever is, the Undertaker's Sarah tattoo.
Yeah, that one's good.
Talk about killing kayfabe, and then he got divorced and he had to get rid of it. That did not go well.
The Harris brothers have SS. Oh, jeez. I did not know. That's from the era I missed. I completely missed it. Wow. That is, those are some unfortunate tattoos.
Yeah. But yeah, the Taker's Sarah one is much more of a that's funny because it's stupid rather than it's funny, and I don't want to know
Undertaker's old wife Sarah, he had her name tattooed on his goozle.
Yeah.
Right there on his neck goozle. And it was very prominent. And then they divorced and left, and he had to try to get rid of it. And that was also very obvious and very prominent. Which is, sillily
And
interesting.
it was still there when he started becoming the dead man again. So you had the undead Undertaker who had his wife's name tattooed in plain view.
This hair is a really good one.
It's
You know another tattoo that, as much as I like it, it is legitimately a bad tattoo?
what's that?
That's Bam Bam's hair. His fire hair.
Oh, it's awesome.
Oh, I like that.
I like it, but it looks bad. It looks ridiculous.
Oh, it's in my list of my 3 favorites that we're supposed to show.
Hey, like I said, I like it. I'm just talking from a pure artistic logic sense. It is silly. It is ridiculous. He's got this weird fire all over his head, and it's old, and it's not touched up, and he has a widow's peak for no reason. It's so weird. It's so fun.
Logic sense, he's covered in flames. His whole body is. So
Yeah.
he should have flames on his head.
And yeah, I don't know if you know, but Bam Bam Bigelow actually ran into an actual fire and saved some kids later
He
in his
did.
life. So
He did.
But I always thought that Bam Bam's whole head tattoo thing was like one of the cool tattoos in wrestling. I'm not a tattoo fan in general, but you know, Bam Bam was cool.
I like Bam Bam. I think his tattoo is lame, and he is super cool because of how lame it is. You know, does that make sense? It's like, it doesn't matter. I don't give a shit at how good this has to look. It's my hair. There's even an interview where someone asked him about his head tattoo, and he said, I was born with it. It's just his hair. And that's so funny to me. It's so silly, and it's love, hate, good, bad. I don't even know what to talk about it. I like talking about it.
I get what you mean, but I also think that it is cool because it is Bam Bam's, and therefore he makes
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely agree with that one. Ow.
Here's a terrible one.
What you got?
Sandman's Sandman tattoo. It is a tattoo that the wrestler the Sandman has, and it is of himself smoking a cigarette with a little bit of blood coming out of his forehead on his arm.
Sandman is a trip. See, it's really funny because I actually really like his actual barbed wire tattoo that you can see in the picture that you shared.
Yeah,
it's realistic barbed wire. It's not representational. But that is a very very silly self portrait. I like it. It doesn't even look like him. It looks like Robert Englund to me.
I've never noticed that tattoo before.
Sandman.
One of the tattoos that came up in my thought process, because I was trying to go through ones that I remembered from as a younger watcher, and the ones that shocked me the most was when Rey Mysterio showed up in the WWE covered in tattoos, because he was such a clean little baby face. He was such a clean little boy.
Baby face.
He was so clean, and then he shows up with his wings and his Mexico on his belly, and the first one he got was the beaded cross necklace, and that was the one that was like, what? That's weird. I don't know if they're good or bad. I just remember it making me think of him as something entirely different. It's so interesting. It also was the era where you could start to see him blow himself up with all his steroids.
Yeah, this is fun because this is another one I have in my because I saved 3 that I liked and 3 that I didn't like, and this is in my that I don't like, and it may be a culture thing. Like I guess maybe writing that you are Mexican on your stomach is a culture thing, because you have like Umaga had what it said Samoa or Samoan just written on his stomach. So I don't want to like make fun of and be mean to it if it's a big culture thing, but I think tattoos that are just like that aren't creative, that just say like Mexican or Samoan or drug free on your knuckles like Big Dumb CM Punk are just dumb tattoos. They're just lazy and not creative at all. And I think this whole it says Mexican on my stomach, and I have a tattoo of a necklace because I don't want to wear a necklace, are really dumb things. But it is of a cross, and I know he's a religious fella, So I don't want. Again, those are the ones that I don't want to like make fun of him for. Unlike this other one I'm about to post, who has a necklace, and it is the worst thing ever.
Oh! Is it one I have in mind? I hope it is. It is. It is. Oh, that's so bad. Oh, we're looking at Scott Steiner's. He started out with a heart tattoo in the middle of his chest that a cross is impaling, and then slowly turned it into an entire football protective gear of tattoos with wings and chains and words and the Michigan logo and tribal tattoos on his shoulders. It's awful. It's so bad. And every ounce of it is bad. I hadn't seen a picture. Lenny put up a picture of his back, which shows, like, scales and an x-ray of his ribs. It's so ugly. It's so bad.
And why is it all connected to a necklace? Doesn't make any... Like, it's all held up around his neck, because it is all a necklace. It's just I think it is the worst tattoo. I think it's worse than Brock Lesnar's.
Yeah,
that's a penis.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I'm looking down here at my notes, and that is the one that I have as my worst. My personal opinion worst. I didn't even think about it until now. Oh man.
I hate looking.
I think I've said like 8 things are the worst one now. But let's talk about some great ones, because I love the Samoan tradition tattoos. I love all of them, and Roman Reigns is the cleanest one, so I used him as my example. But honestly, I like all of them. I think the Rock's look great. I think the Usos ones look great. I forget his name. There's a second-generation kid in FCW who didn't go anywhere, but he had it on one of his thighs, and it looked really good. I just really like how intricate the fake leather work is, and the bead work, and all the things that end up being on these Samoan tattoos. And I wish I was Samoan, because that is... If I could pick a tattoo, that's what I'd want. But there's no way. I'm just a big fat white boy who's nowhere near Samoan. There's no way I'm allowed to get that tattoo. That's bad, but it's my favorite. It looks so good.
Nowhere near Samoan. I love that.
I'm not. I'm nowhere near it.
Those are super awesome.
I really, really like them. I also think that Aleister Black, who has a really cool, eclectic style, and his tattoos all really serve a purpose. Watching wrestling with an actual tattoo head, Aleister Black is his favorite tattoo. The Oni woman on his back. That's the tattoo that makes him go, whoa, that tattoo is crazy. And it looks really good. Aleister Black has so many really cool tattoos, and they all kind of paint a picture. He's kind of the opposite CM Punk. CM Punk has a bunch of tattoos that don't make a lot of sense. G.I. Joe here, Pepsi there, drug-free. Like, they're all representations of him, but not like his wrestling gimmick or anything. They're just kind of him, which is the point of tattoos. But in wrestling, if you can take it another step further, like with the Samoan tattoos, or like Aleister Black with all of his semi-occult tarot stuff, like the hand that has now become his t-shirt insignia. Like, his tattoos are super rad. But I did save my favorite one for last, other than the Samoan one. Just a single one tattoo on a dude who has a lot of tattoos, and some of them aren't great, and some of them are fine. But my single favorite tattoo is the microphone on Enzo's fist. The microphone on his fist is so cool. He talks about what it means because of his dad, but it allows him to cut promos with his fists, which is everything his character is. It embodies who he is and what he does in such a perfect, singular way. I really, really like that tattoo as a tattoo on a wrestler.
Yeah, well, my favorite's Bam Bam Bigelow, so...
That's cool. I get it. I have nothing against anybody who likes it. I like it. I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, well, tattoos aren't really my thing. Ozzy Osbourne once said, if you wanted, when I was at a young age, if you want to be cool, don't get a tattoo, and I always took him to heart. and given he's got shitloads of them. But I was trying to think for this question, and I have to be really kind of dull and obvious here, but I'm afraid my favourite is The Rock's Brahma Bull.
Totally.
And it's a pure nostalgia thing here. It has been part of the sort of ethos of the guy who got me into wrestling, basically the top character, and yeah, that's it basically.
Yeah, the Brahma Bull's super cool. I love that The Rock has in Hollywood evolved beyond tattoos. Like think about it. Most actors with tattoos, they put makeup on over their tattoos. But at this point, just every character The Rock plays, that Brahma Bull's there. Those Samoan tattoos are there. They're just always there because they don't matter. They're just a part of him. It's so neat and so different.
Yeah.
Cool.
And because he's got the high priest in his veins, his life story and connections and ancestors are sort of appearing through his tattoos as he gets older and gets more of them, because they're all the whole Samoan society thing. It's all the tattoos are connected. So
yep.
I think that's quite cool.
Yeah, me too.
So if you had to get a tattoo on your body that one of these wrestlers has, what are you going to get? Where are you going to put it?
If I felt I was allowed, I would absolutely get big old Samoan everything. I think that'd be super cool. That is my personal favorite, my personal taste. That's my favorite.
Do you know any Samoans you could ask?
Nope. Not a one, but I'll send The Rock. I'll send him a line. Hey, The Rock.
Hey, The Rock.
Can I please get a Samoan tattoo?
If I get the Undertaker's Sarah tattoo, can I add an H at the end so it's spelled like my wife spells it, or does it have to be spelled like that? Because I'd take that. I'd put my wife's name on me out of all these choices.
I think you could do that. I think that'd be fair. Or you have to put the H underneath.
Well, I'll just say the H is a separate tattoo. I'll get that first, yeah. and then I'll get the Sarah. So yeah, I guess that's what I would go with.
What about you, Michael? If you had to get a tattoo, what wrestler's tattoo would you get?
I would spoil this by not getting any tattoos for 3 reasons. 1, I don't like them. 2, I have terrible eczema, so it would cause me intense pain. And 3, I am phobic of needles.
You are gonna be knocked unconscious, and you are gonna be tattooed. And if you don't pick, Lenny and I get to pick which one you get. So which one do you get if you get to pick which one you get as you are knocked unconscious?
Oh, I'll go with The Rock's then.
Still on your arm?
Well, wherever it's going to be painful. So
you'll be knocked out. You won't be able to feel a thing.
No, as in for life.
You'll be knocked out your whole life. So you won't be able to feel a thing.
This is a long way to go just to get...
It's worth it. Get the tattoo. I have a tattoo, and I'm knocked out for life, and it has been worth it thus far.
He has a lot of tattoos. All 3 of them. Right? 3?
2.
Damn.
One's long, though.
Yeah. I thought you had a 3rd one. I'm wrong. I think that's a fine way to end our discussion of the 2 of us beating the hell out of Michael and leaving him unconscious so that we can tattoo The Rock on him. Just The Rock's face on his forearm like Sandman.
Oh, you and I are doing the tattoo? Oh, goodness.
Yeah. I figure I'll hold him down and you do the tattooing.
Oh, God, okay.
Let's move on to our 3rd topic.
3!
Okay, this is a fairly simple creative one. Book a modern WarGames match with the current roster, either for Raw or SmackDown, whichever you wanted. And I've given both Jessel and Lenny a 3-month period to book how it would build up to actually having a WarGames match. So by Survivor Series at the latest.
I Sorry.
Will you, Michael, tell people what the WarGames is?
Oh yeah, the WarGames was a 5-on-5 tag match inside a cage that WCW used to do to blow off big feuds. They used to have it. They'd have a double ring, because it's very difficult to get arenas where you can fit 2 rings in plus the crowd. When TNA and other indies do them today, they just do them with the 1 ring and have the big cage over it. Instead of it being everyone in the ring at the same time, you start with 2 people, and there's a coin toss to determine which team gets in at regular scheduled intervals first. Spoiler alert, it's usually always the heels that win that, so they've always got the advantage in the match. And it can, usually in WCW it could only be won by submission once everyone had entered the match, but I believe TNA have won them by pinfall and all kinds of manner of stuff. So, but the general rules and beyond that were up to Justin and Lenny for how they booked their show. So, Lenny,
Yes?
you wanna go?
Sure. I'll go. Well, when I was looking into it, I found many that were not 5-on-5. But since that's what Michael said, that means when I get to that point, I will randomly add 1 person to each team.
Oh, you don't have to add extra people.
No, I'm adding someone else. Let me do it. Let me do it. This will not be 4-on-4, so help me God.
Mine's gonna be 4-on-4.
Okay. Well, maybe I will do it then. Okay, so SummerSlam has ended. Roman Reigns has lost. Poor baby Roman Reigns. He's sulking in his yard, as he likes to call it. At that point, Undertaker's gong goes off. Gong, gong, gong. And he magically appears in the ring. He doesn't look great. He looks all beaten, and not beaten like he was just beaten in a match, but he looks old and bruised, not like he's about to wrestle. But he signals that he's going to cut Roman Reigns' throat. That is some loud typing. So Taker signals that he's going to cut Roman Reigns' throat open, like Taker likes to do. Next night on Raw, Undertaker tells Roman Reigns that he's sick of hearing Roman brag about his little victory, and that Roman retired the Undertaker, and that Roman owns all of the WWE now because he beat the Undertaker, and all of this is his yard because he won 1 match, and that Roman hasn't won any gold. All he's done is lost to Braun Strowman since he's beaten the Undertaker in that match, and that Roman has no support, that he doesn't have any friends, that the fans are turning on him, and he's tired of his only mark of success being that he beat the Undertaker, and he just wants them to shut up. So Roman comes out, and he's really mean to Undertaker, calls him an old man, says, "Oh, I beat you, and you're just mad, and you're trying to find something to hold on to." And Taker says, "Roman, forget everything there is to the Undertaker. I'm not one man. I'm not defined by one match. I have been an American badass. I've been lit on fire in caskets." He runs down some of the things that happened to him. I have always had respect from the locker room. I've always had respect from the wrestlers and the fans, and I will always have a ministry of darkness. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, no, look at that!" And Roman grabs the Undertaker, and the entire locker room comes out to the Undertaker's aid. That's everybody. The heels, the top heels, even come out. Like, everyone is in the corner of the Undertaker in this big moment of, oh, Roman is messing with the Undertaker, and everybody's got his back. So basically, the Undertaker wants a match where he gets to pick his guys, his Ministry of Darkness, that will be the guys that he wants representing him. And Roman Reigns has to find someone in all of WWE that doesn't respect Undertaker that would be in Roman Reigns' corner, which is going to end up being a very difficult task for Roman. So Undertaker finds 4 people. He gets Jeff Hardy, because Jeff Hardy was a lot of people argue that Jeff Hardy really was made after his ladder match with The Undertaker. We have John Cena, because John Cena will now be on Raw, and he's the guy that we've had a rumor that he'll fight The Undertaker every single WrestleMania for the last decade. Brock Lesnar, because he took the streak, and it'll be a big deal to have Brock Lesnar be like, yeah, I'll fight for The Undertaker. And then we have The Miz on the team, who was kicked out of the locker room by The Undertaker, and came all the way now and has the respect of The Undertaker. So that is Team Undertaker. So Roman Reigns is trying, and he can't find anybody. Nobody wants to be Roman Reigns' friend. Not even the Usos. The Usos are like, oh, we can't do it, cuz. No, we can't mess around with the Undertaker, cuz. And so there's a show on one of the European champion or the UK Championship shows, and Roman Reigns shows up, and he comes and he gets on the microphone and he asks for help from some of the UK guys. And Pete Dunne, he shows up and he offers to help, and he says, you know what, I don't know how this locker room works. I've only heard crappy things, or however Pete Dunne talks. I can't do the voice. And Pete Dunne says he'll be on a team with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns shows up on NXT. I would prefer a live event that they just get a tape from and then they play it on a Raw rather than a episode. I think that's a cooler feel, and they can just play it on Raw. And he says he needs help, and he gets the Authors of Pain to help. So he couldn't get anybody in the SmackDown or Raw, but he's able to get the Authors of Pain and Pete Dunne as his team. So now we have the match. It's going to be a WarGames match. It's going to be Pete Dunne, Authors of Pain, Roman Reigns versus John Cena, Brock Lesnar, The Miz, and Jeff Hardy. It was 4-4. Couldn't think of somebody else as I was talking. So I guess Michael wins this round. The heels will get the advantage when they do the coin flip. We're going to go by you win by being the first one to get somebody on the other team to quit rather than a submission or a pinfall. So after everybody gets in, the first person on a team to quit will lose. So people come in. I'm not going to go through step by step the whole match. Eventually, Roman Reigns is going to just be getting destroyed by Brock Lesnar and John Cena in a corner, and he's going to quit for his entire team, and so that they completely lose. And his team is furious with him. So the only 3 people he could find to support him, they don't want anything to do with him, and they leave. Roman Reigns is in there once again, sulking all by himself. Undertaker will go in the ring, and Undertaker, now that all is said and done, he's going to offer his hand for Roman Reigns to shake it. Roman Reigns doesn't accept it, and he spits on the Undertaker, and he leaves. And now Roman Reigns has no body, and he's this loner top heel guy going forward. So now you've got the thing with the Undertaker completely taken care of. Undertaker got a nice send-off with all these guys giving him all this respect. And you've got Pete Dunne and the Authors of Pain on the main roster, if you are going to use them correctly. And so Roman Reigns is ready to be a top heel, absolutely as a heel, with nobody being his friend. So that's what I would do for WarGames.
Yeah, I like it. The Reigns heel turn and how nobody wants to go off him because they all respect Taker, and it gives sort of like Pete Dunne in that a massive push off the boot, right off the sort of main roster debut. So yeah, that's all cool. What did you think of it, Jessel?
I mean, heel Reigns is what I want. It is. Man, how do I say? How do I say? I'll say it like this. I had a conundrum when putting together this match, and my first attempt is similar to Lenny's attempt, or it's Lenny's attempt. Lenny's good booking. It is good booking. But to me, it doesn't feel like WarGames for whatever reason. It feels like a Survivor Series match, and I got hung up on that myself. So I'm hung up on it here. It's not like I think it's good. I really like the Pete Dunne debut is very nice. It makes me very happy because he deserves it. We should have that UK title on one of the 2 damn shows, but I know why it's not. It's money stuff, blah blah blah. But I dig it. I like it. Yeah. I'm hung up on the differences between Survivor Series and WarGames, and when I go through mine, you'll hear hear more, I guess.
Let's hear yours then.
Okay. It made the most sense to me. Oh, by the way, first off, I was reading an interview about interview with a writer who was talking about the creation of the Punjabi prison match, and specifically when he pitched it, the original pitch was to bring WarGames, and Vince McMahon is adamant to never do WarGames ever. period. And that's very interesting to me. It comes from a writer's mouth and everything. The idea was for the Punjabi prison started as, well, let's have WarGames. Nah, I don't like those, and we're never going to do them in the WWE. And then it was like, oh, well, let's do an exploding death match, because that's the thing that the WWE never done. Sure, and then Kevin Dunn changed it to the Punjabi prison match. It was a very interesting interview. You should be able to find it with a quick Google search, a Punjabi prison match interview or something. It was very intriguing to read, but the important part to this question was that WarGames will never happen. So it was very intriguing. Luckily, we live in a fantasy world where I can just make it happen. So as I was doing this, I was like, okay, it makes most sense to put this kind of stipulation at Survivor Series. That's what it does. So let's make it be inter-brand. Let's put our top 4 guys versus our top 4 guys. Braun, Joe, Reigns, and Balor versus Owen, Styles, Corbin, and Cena. Show versus show. Super awesome. And I was ready to be done. But I was thinking about it. I was thinking, man, that's just not the purpose of WarGames. Like, I love gimmick matches, because gimmick matches, when done right, every gimmick match has a specific purpose to it that makes it different from any other gimmick match, and I really like that. That's why I like ladder matches. That's why I like tables matches when done right and all that. They're like, every gimmick match tells a particular kind of story, and that's just not how WarGames work. That kind of Survivor Series match is about athletics and skill and high school teamsmanship, essentially. Get on my team and we'll win. But WarGames is about trust. It is about a group of people that trust each other, and either the other group that they're versus also trust each other, and that's the problem, and that's where the conflict comes, or the other group are united in their dislike of the other one. I mean, the WarGames was, if I remember correctly, created for the Four Horsemen. It was the Four Horsemen's signature match. So, to me, that led me down a weird road with how do you get that in there? How do you do it? So, I eventually came up with the idea to put it on SmackDown exclusively and have it be the New Day have lost their tag titles, and they're trying to get the titles back again from, I don't know, Breezango. It doesn't matter who has the tag titles at this point. As what they're attempting to do, they keep being destroyed by different wrestlers, but they don't get a good look at them, and we just get flits of it. You treat it kind of like a slasher movie, you know. It's like you get a brief flash of them, so on and so forth, and that goes on for a few weeks until eventually it is revealed that it's Sanity who are debuting, and they are destroying the New Day. The New Day stands for everything that's wrong in wrestling. They preach positivity over power. They preach blah blah blah. You could write a story promo around it, but Sanity is crazy, so it doesn't really matter their reason. They've decided to destroy New Day. So, long and short of it is they start beating up people backstage to get what they want. And it's funny, the first target they beat up is Arn Anderson, and it gets down the line, and eventually it goes, what they want is a WarGames match against the New Day. And because Sanity has Nikki Cross in it, that means New Day's got to find somebody to fight with them. So you have Sanity versus New Day, and they need a female partner, but you have Nikki Cross beating the crap out of all the women, so you actually have them be afraid of her. Like it's either Charlotte's like, oh, I'm in the title match, I can't do this. Naomi's like, nah, I got to side with my husband, you know. Whatever reason, New Day can't find a female competitor. So at Survivor Series, you have the War Game, and it starts with Killian Dane and Big E. So you have the two big guys start, and then in comes Eric Young, and then in comes Kofi, and then in comes Alexander Wolf, and then not Alexander Wolf, Sawyer Fulton. Whichever one is the two that's still in Sanity. Then in comes Xavier, and then comes Nikki, and then we're in a problem because Sandy is just they are really dominating New Day, and Nikki is crazy and they don't know what to deal with it. And then the timer rings out and no one comes for New Day for a while. It's like, oh no, they're not going to get it, and it's impossible. And I would have it end with submissions and with them trying to break them. They're going to break the New Day, and then you eventually get whoa, whoa, whoa. Becky Lynch runs down, and she's babyface, and she comes out and helps, and you have the Becky Lynch Nikki Cross match, and they're beating each other up. And I think those 8 individuals would mesh really, really well, and I think that'd be a really cool WarGames. So that's my pitch. I don't know who'd win because I don't know where it'd go from there. But I think that'd be a super cool WarGames. Probably have Becky disarm her Eric Young. That'd be a great image to win. But I don't know.
So, is Becky one of the ones they asked to be their partner earlier?
Yeah.
And what happens with that when they ask her earlier?
Everyone gives reasons why they can't, and then eventually she comes anyway. I haven't completely thought all the way through, but I want to make it be maybe Becky was attacked and when she was asked or something. I don't know. I want it to be not obvious that it would be Becky. I want New Day to actually feel like they might not ever be able to get somebody to help them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. It's not what I expected, but I like it.
Oh, I want to know what you expected.
Oh, no, just in general terms. I didn't have anything in my head from your just New Day sanity. If I'd had to expect, wouldn't have been what I expected.
Gotcha. Neat. Cool.
And I get what you mean about the Survivor Series WarGames thing, although given they both kind of came into Genesis around the same time, and they've both got the general same idea. The original Survivor Series was, the people that Hogan could trust going against the Heenan family.
Yeah. They are really similar, but just for some reason my brain just had a hang up on what the actual differences were. That's where I went.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure you're going to like mine then.
I'm probably going to like it. It just, like I said, my brain just did a weird thing. I had a hurdle I just couldn't get over. I'm interested to hear it.
First of all, I was kind of trying to wonder how WWE would do a WarGames match, ignoring the fact that Vince McMahon hates the idea and they're not going to happen in his lifetime. But on the flip side, Triple H really loves them, so pretty much as soon as Vince is out of the picture and Tripson's definitely in charge, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a WarGames match within a year of that happening. But yeah, the 2 ring setup I didn't think would happen in the WWE because it's just that would take out probably 100% of the arenas that they could use nowadays, because the arenas have changed so much. That was one of the issues, the Elimination Chamber, that a lot of them can't actually host the damn thing now. But as I say, TNA, they did it, built the cage round their stupid 6-side string, and Indies kind of do the same. So I was imagining the Hell in a Cell structure being considered kind of suitable for a WWE style WarGames setup. So, to start off, as I alluded to earlier in the show, I have the feeling that Ambrose is turning heel at SummerSlam on Seth Rollins. So, that happens. Then, Raw, after SummerSlam, John Cena shows up on Raw. But then Jason Jordan comes out to challenge him. Kurt Angle comes out to break it up and apologises, but then Swerve, the Angles beat down Cena. And I'm relying on John Cena being more popular than the nepotism Jordan here, and based on Raw so far, I think I'm fairly safe. So Kurt Angle is pushing his son to the top as the sort of heel GM now. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns, he's still having trouble with Braun Strowman and Samoa Joe. One day it's 2-on-1. And Cena makes the save because that's what's, Cena's in his sort of humble kind of do the right thing type gimmick now. And incidentally, this is the first inkling we get of WrestleMania with Reigns and Cena in the same ring. Ambrose, he's being himself, but he's heel and he appears to be helping Angle. Seth Rollins is MIA since the Raw after SummerSlam when Ambrose tricked him into a beatdown from Braun and Drew, who don't like each other, but they find themselves mutually interested in beating up the same person. A bit like Vader and Yokozuna in the '96 Rumble. And like those two, there's grumbles of dissension, but Angle keeps them together with pep talks because it's helping Kurt Angle. So we build to Cena challenging Angle and Son and Cronies to a 5-on-5 match at Survivor Series, with Cena's career on the line to get rid of the Angles. With you running the show, I can never get a chance at the title and the record for most title reigns, and I put my career on the line to get that, he says during a typical Cena promo. So Angle accepts, but he says it has to be a WarGames match. So, by this point, Reigns and Cena and Jordan, Braun, Joe and Ambrose, they are sort of set in stone. And it's more so when Kurt Angle decides to manipulate Brock Lesnar's contract and put him on Team Angle to give Angle an advantage. So the Hardys come out and say that they'll team with Cena, but all the villains attack them and Matt is injured. Jeff will make the pay-per-view, but he's injured and Matt's away to get broken. Cena gets Finn Balor onside, so it's 4-on-5, but they're missing a man, so we get to the pay-per-view. We start with Cena v Joe for the first 5 minutes, so that should be fun. The heels always get the advantage, so in comes Dean Ambrose. Every time Cena gets one down, the other comes up to face him. Second face is Jeff Hardy, who's hurt but game, so it's still advantage heels basically. Third heel's Braun, he kills Cena and Hardy for a bit. Then it's Roman Reigns in, Ball of Fire faces Rally. Then in comes Lesnar, he does his typical Brock Lesnar stuff, we've all seen it by now. Fourth is Balor. He goes toe to toe with Lesnar, and that really lifts sort of his credibility. But then in comes Jason Jordan, who you've noted Kurt Angle has given him the last spot in the match. And of course, that happens. So then the buzzer goes down to the fifth face, and it's Seth Rollins returning for the first time in 3 months, and he gets a mega pop. And he goes right after Ambrose and Joe and everyone in the faces rally. And it settles into your typical WarGames sort of match where sort of people getting killed and bumped and attempted submissions. The match turns when Jason Jordan accidentally takes Lesnar down with a high risk manoeuvre. Think like a missile drop kick from the cage, but Cena ducks. And Lesnar's like, to hell with this, I'm out of here. And the refs don't question him because he's Brock Lesnar. Next, Braun and Joe come to blows in a misunderstanding, and Braun takes out Joe, and then Braun takes all 5 finishers. And when he's just about standing, they have a huge spot like he hit him with a chair, like Maga in one of the Elimination Chamber matches. So they knock Braun out of the ring. Ambrose is recovering for a spot, and he realises it's 5-on-2 now. He laughs, goes for Rollins, and is swiftly removed from contention via multiple finishers, which leaves Jason Jordan alone, 5-on-1 in the ring, and he tries to make a timeout gesture, but gets speared out of his boots. And Cena does his whole can't see me, and he attaches the STF, and Jordan gives up quite quickly, and Team Cena win. Because the whole match got built on Kurt Angle's whole hubris, and essentially he lost because of it. But don't worry, he can appear on SmackDown. But however, next night on Raw, Cena's gloating, and then no chance in hell hits, and out comes Vince McMahon. And Vince is like, I'd like to congratulate you, John Cena. I'd like to congratulate you on your entry into the 2018 Royal Rumble match. Cena looks confused but interested. We can't have the match with a big marquee draw like John Cena, says Vince, and I wish you all the luck in the world, because if you win, you're going to need it. You see, John Cena, Vince McMahon remembers the promise John Cena made to WWE Universe, that John Cena would put his career on the line to get that final title shot. So let me promise you this, Mr. Cena. Next time you get a title shot, if you don't win the title, you're fired. So, yes. So we have a nice pay-per-view blow-off match, and we also set the seeds of 3 big WrestleMania matches. A Shield triple threat match, Braun Strowman versus Samoa Joe, and John Cena versus Roman Reigns for the title, with Cena's career on the line. And that's how I'd have booked a WarGames match from scratch just now.
Funnily enough, you know my favorite part of the whole thing?
What?
That Kurt Angle just likes the war game, and he's just like, yeah, war game match. Because that's just kind of how he is. He's just like, oh yeah, I can do a stupid stipulation. Yeah, Enzo in a shark cage.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Yeah, Kurt Angle, GM of dumb gimmick matches. I love it.
Yeah,
That's my favorite thing about it. It's consistent. Nice consistency.
Plus, he's gone heel, and it sort of fits in with the whole fact that he clearly thinks if he's got Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman and in a WarGames match, then how can he lose? So it fits his sort of that megalomania streak.
Yeah.
I super dig it. You totally just took SummerSlam us all the way into WrestleMania with that. I love that. I mean, it all makes sense. Like, the big change would have to be Kurt Angle has to go heel. Besides that, everything is set up to work perfectly for it. And I love those kinds of things. That's wonderful. That's my favorite one.
Oh, you're too kind.
I am too kind. That's an insult.
I can't help it. I am by nature a writer. I have to see the long-term narrative and everything. Which is why me and Vince Russo would never get on.
And I quite like the Cena retirement stipulation. That's a good one.
Yeah, I have a feeling they might actually do it in real life.
Oh yeah, I'm sure of it. Cena retirement, Cena versus Reigns at Mania, absolutely.
I don't agree, but we'll see what happens.
I think that's going to do it for us this week, pals and lady pals and male pals and all the pals. So, unless everybody has anything else they want to say,
Nope.
Nope.
then goodbye.
Farewell. Azita Zazaza.
Da, 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 da. I don't know the lyrics. Oh, God.